Holy smokes! So many new cards have been revealed in the past week, so let's go ahead and rapid fire through them and talk about them. First of all, Day, Secret Agent, Swordcraft Officer, Gold Follower, 4 play point 1/1, Ambush. Fanfare, choose, put either an Evan Novice Agent or an Infiltration to your hand. And an Evan Novice Agent is a 0 play point 2/2 that you can evolve to have Storm, and evolve, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. And Infiltration is a 2 play point spell, where you draw cards until you have the same number of cards as your opponent. So, this card seems pretty slow actually, I think. A 4 play point 1/1 with Ambush, not great. And with the Evan, it's a 3/3, which is also not that great tempo-wise. The Storm is an evolve effect, so I feel like there's better stuff that you can be evolving at this point instead of Evan. And even though it does have this like kind of series kind of effect, I think just overall Swordcraft has better stuff at this cost slot. And the Infiltration I think is also pretty slow, because you have to play a 4 play point body to get this card afterwards. And it's slow enough that it's then, I think, less useful, like a lot less useful against aggressive matchups where they're also dumping their hand. So, I think this card is not very good. On the other hand, Sellsword Lucius, a Silver Swordcraft Officer Follower, 1 play point 1/1, Fanfare and Hands 5, destroy an enemy follower. I think this is pretty good. It's a 1 play point card with an upside, and there's not enough of those, so this is not too bad. Moving on. Mordecai, Eternal Duelist, 10 play point 7/7 for Shadowcraft Legendary. Mordecai's back, baby! Fanfare, Necromancy 6, evolve this follower. Evolve this follower if it was summoned using Reanimate. Last words on the evolve. Summon an unevolved Mordecai, Eternal Duelist. So it's kind of like a Corpse Lord of Woe effect. I think this card is pretty good. On 10, it's not the best thing in the world, but you definitely just want to be summoning this using Reanimate. And it's honestly kind of annoying to deal with. Like, if Corpse Lord of Woe is annoying to deal with, then this will be as well. Evolve the follower of someone using Reanimate. The only thing is that it can't evolve continuously like Corpse Lord can. But still, being able to summon this really early, say for example on turn 7 with a Caridwen Eternity Hunter, means that you have a really sticky threat on board that has immediate board presence, and it's a good replacement for Zeus. I don't think it's as impactful as Zeus, clearly, but I think it's not bad for Reanimate type decks, and I like the fact that they're playing around with the Reanimate mechanic a little more. Moving on, Lady Grey Deathweaver, 2 play point 1/3 with Drain for Shadowcraft, Silver Follower, evolve, full stats, and Reanimate 2. This card is actually just good. It's a Sweet Fang Vampire, but for Shadowcraft and also better. Not bad. Soul Conversion, we all know this card, being reprinted in this set, one of the most powerful cards in Shadowcraft, if not the entire game. And Hazen, Priest of the Wind, Havencraft Bronze Follower, 2 play point 1/3. Ward. And Evolve doesn't have Ward, but it gains +4 attack. This card is being slept on. It's a Snake Priestess, but like way better on the offense. And I think this might be a thing that's run in an aggressive Haven deck, which sounds insane, but I wouldn't put it past them to start supporting wacky archetypes, and I actually want them to do that. And I think this might be a piece that fits in there, or it could just be pack filler. Who knows, but I feel like it does have some potential. Moving on. Silva, Ardent Sniper, Portalcraft Legendary, 7 play point 6/5 with Ambush, or Accelerate 3. Put a follower that originally cost 3 play points or less from your hand into play, give it Rush. Give the leader the following effects on each of your turns. Deal 1 damage to the enemy leader the first time an allied follower attacks. This effect lasts for the rest of the match, and I think it's stackable, because otherwise it would specify that it isn't. So, this is interesting. I think it's advocating for a more aggressive style of Portalcraft list, and there's other cards that support this kind of thing as well. So far, Portalcraft has been really slow with the mid-rangey stuff, and even Puppets have their win con at like turn 8 and 9, so super slow. Then this is a bit more aggressive with a really big statted follower on Ambush as well, to try and finish things off at around turn 7 or 8. And the Accelerate also plays into that as well, making it so that you deal damage to the enemy leader. And this whole originally cost 3 points or less thing might indicate that you can, you know, synergize this with artifacts, 3 play point artifacts. But not really, because you'd rather play the Mystics, right? In general, it's still pretty good though. You pay 3 play points for a leader effect, and give something in your hand that was already 3 play points rush, so it's just really solid. I think it might be more interesting to play on the Accelerate than the actual body itself, but I don't doubt that if a Portalcraft aggressive kind of thing actually happens, and the game slows down enough, that a 6/5 with Ambush is a veritable threat. True Dragon Scathasha, Dragoncraft 5/5/5 gold. Fanfare, if Overflow is not active for you, deal 2 damage to this follower and gain an empty playpoint orb. If Overflow is active for you, give your leader the following effect. Subtract 2 for the next source of damage dealt to your leader. I think this card is just going to be staple, kind of a replacement for Sybil. I don't think it's as good as Sybil, but it's good that you can play it on curve if you didn't... Like, if it's not turn 5, you still get the ramp, you just get a 5-3 body as well. So a 5-3 for 5 plus ramp is really good. And the not ramp effect, if you're already in Overflow, is that you subtract you from the next source of damage. It's okay for defensive purposes. I'm not sure if it's exactly stellar, but could save your bacon occasionally. You usually just want to play this for the ramp effect, though. And you know what? On Overflow, this is a 5-5-5, which is overstated, so not too shabby either. So it's a 5-5-5 with an upside or a 5-5-3 with ramp. Either way, it's good no matter how you slice it. Catalina Sky Guardian, honestly a bit disappointed with this one. Neutral silver, 6.44 with ward. That cannot receive more than 3 damage at a time. I think it's pretty bad. Really lackluster, doesn't really fit anywhere, and it's super expensive. Rackham, one of my favorite Granblue Fantasy characters. Neutral bronze. 4.33 whenever this follower attacks an enemy follower, deal 3 damage to the follower before it can deal any damage in return. Kind of like a Taurus, right? But, I don't know. It seems really lackluster. It seems like take 2 card or pack filler. Doesn't feel like it'll really make a splash in any competitive deck. Just because it's a 4.33 body, you know, on curve, which is really bad. And this isn't a clash effect. If it was a clash effect, it would be broken. So good, but yeah, it can just get traded so easily by your opponent, and then you probably have better evolved targets than this. So, not impressed. Moving on. Narmaya, Ephemeral Blade, Bloodcraft, 4.43 gold with Bane, evolve, destroy an enemy follower and deal damage to leader until you drop to 10 defense if Vengeance is not active for you. This is kind of like the Belphegor replacement, your Vengeance activator, its removal, it's Bane, it's good stats. Honestly, this is just all around upside, and I think kind of key if Vengeance ever wants to stay alive in the next expansion. So I'm expecting to be running this as a 3-of in all Vengeance decks. Compared to Belphegor, it has its upsides and its downsides. Obviously, you have to evolve it to get the Vengeance drop effect, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to pull that off without much difficulty. You just draw it on 4 and evolve it, and it even tempo swings you on that turn, so it's actually quite good. And it has Bane, of course. So really, really good card. Charlotta, Tiny Justice, 3.23 with ward, and evolve. All allied followers can be damaged by spells and effects until the end of your opponent's turn. I don't know why they keep giving Swordcraft Magnus effects and Liza effects, but this is, I think this has the potential to be quite good. Like, I mean, it's already a 3.23 with ward, so if you want a defensive option, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? And then, there are other good evolves for Swordcraft, but I think Swordcraft is good enough at conserving their evolve point that they can maybe afford to run a Charlotta, especially if it's a commander, right? Turn you can also drop this plus Luminous Mage. Oh no, Luminous Mage is rotating out. That's right! Well, still, regardless, this effect still is pretty alright if you establish a really wide board and then just evolve this. You don't have to rely on the Magnus 100% of the time. So this might be good for some redundancy. I think overall it's a pretty alright one. Sotera of the Sacred Bow, 4.43 for Forestcraft, Silver Follower, Fanfare, draw a card, evolve whenever this follower attacks, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. I think this is pretty mediocre. I mean, 4.43 draw a card is not bad, right? But I think Forestcraft overall just has way better stuff to play on the 4-drop slot. And the evolve, especially not having full stats, is gonna make this card suffer in terms of playability. Black Witch Anna, Runecraft Bronze, 2.21, last words, deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. Or evolved, deal 3 damage to a random enemy follower, kind of like a Balinus for Runecraft. I don't know, man. No Runecraft deck I know of right now sees this kind of card in it. Because Runecraft is mostly a combo-based class, so I don't know if they're ever going to have a tempo kind of thing like a Balinus in their class, but if it ever does happen, I won't be surprised that this is a thing, but I think this might go the way of a Lightning Lancer and just be sort of filler for an archetype that's never supported. Alright, keep it going, keep it fast, keep it moving. Pyreworm Commander, 4.33 for Dragoncraft, Gold Follower, Fanfare, put a Blazing Breath into your hand, Evolve, put a Lightning Blast into your hand. I think overall this is kind of just like a really bad Vulse, but it's in a class that can ramp and values removal and values non-follower cards. So it might be more useful than I'm giving it credit for, but I think the evolve on this isn't super great. Maybe I'm underestimating it just because I have bias towards Dragoncraft, but I think this is okay at best. We'll see in the coming months. So this is one of those cards where, like, in my mind, I think it's okay at best, but in my heart, I feel like I might be completely wrong and off the mark just because of my bias towards Dragoncraft. So I recognize that. And, yeah, I don't know. I'll totally eat my words if this ends up being a thing and the Lightning Blast ends up being really relevant. Depends on what meta decks I guess there are in the coming expansion, but I think overall this is just okay. Restless Perish, 0 play point, Bloodcraft, Silver Amulet. If you have at least 2 play points, choose. Play this card as either a Nightfall or a Madness Revealed. Countdown 1. This is the base form. If you don't have the 2 play points, deal 1 damage to your leader. Last words, draw a card. Well, that's just okay already. And then Nightfall is 2 play points, countdown 2 at the end of your opponent's turn, summon a Force Bat, so it gets Storm, essentially, because it summons at the end of your opponent's turn, and then you get to attack with it at the start of your turn, so that's pretty good. Or Madness Revealed, deal 4 damage to your leader, restore 8 defense to your leader. You know, these are all pretty good. I think this is just a really good card overall. All these effects are great, and it's a super flexible card that Blood could use in many different situations. I think this is a good amulet. Keep it moving. Adramalik, we already know what I think about this one, because I revealed it. Long story short, super good. Linked in the card if you want to check out my card review. Or not card review, card reveal of this card where I talk about it a bit more in depth. Dragon Sanctum, 3 play point, Dragoncraft, Silver Amulet. If you have at least 3 play points and Overflow is active for you, choose. Play this card as either a Trample or a Whirlwind. Countdown 1, last words, gain an empty play point orb. Trample, destroy an enemy follower. Or Whirlwind, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. And then this one is gain an empty play point orb. Well, this is also one of those super versatile amulets that is kind of good in every form. This one, the ramp is really slow because it just gets destroyed on your next turn because of the countdown, and then you get an empty one, so you can't use it even until the turn after that. So it's a really super slow form of ramp, but it's still ramp. And these 2 effects are also just good, so good card, I think. Yeah, the only one I'm really unsure about is the Pyreworm Commander so far. I'm on the fence about that one. Maybe not inherently due to my Dragoncraft bias, but just because like it's a hard one to evaluate, I guess. Shamu and Shama, Noblekin, Forestcraft, 3.23 Gold Follower. Fanfare, choose, put either a Shamu's Antics or a Shama's Gaze into your hand. Well, already it's an on-curve follower, that's not too bad. Shamu's Antics deals 2 damage to enemy follower and restores 2 defense to your leader, so it's like a Vampiric Kiss for Forestcraft. And Shama's Gaze is given enemy follower -X, -0 until the end of your opponent's turn. X equals the number of other cards in your hand. Pretty good control tool for Forestcraft, so I think in a controlling Forestcraft deck I wouldn't be surprised to see this run. It's really flexible, right? You get this, no questions asked, you get one of these debilitating spells. What's the word? I don't know. Anyway, you know what I mean? These spells that can really mess with your opponent's game plan, or just remove their stuff. And you get an on-curve follower to boot. I think it's okay. Pretty alright. Oh, and there's also Princess Tina. At the end of your turn, put a random 1 play point Swordcraft follower from your deck into play. I think this is a bit underwhelming. There's probably way better stuff to play at the 4-drop slot for Swordcraft especially. Swordcraft is getting so many good tools that I don't think Princess Tina is going to be one of the ones that you really want to play. Maybe for the Latham deck, but even then, that seems really out there. Moving on. This is what I was talking about. I was talking about Portalcraft getting more aggressive stuff. Artifact Spark, 5 play point to transform a random... Not a random, sorry. You pick one. Transform an artifact card in your hand into an artifact spark, so you get to choose. Deal 4 damage to the enemy leader. This card can be played only when a targetable artifact card is in your hand. So that's exactly what I was talking about. So maybe you can run something with this plus Silva and have like an aggro artifact. Artifact can already be pretty aggressive, right? Like with the mana production on 1, and then Miriam, and then what have you. And then you just clone a bunch of analyzings and you already have like a gigantic board turn 4. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're pushing this kind of aggressive style of Portalcraft deck. It's something completely different than what we've seen so far. So that's interesting, and I'm always pushing for more interesting archetypes. So interested to see if this is going to be a thing. I mean, 5 play point for 4 damage is really good, but the targetable artifact card thing might be a tall ask. We'll see if this ever takes off, but if it does, I feel like this is going to be a key component, and so is Silva. Palmer and Earth's Pride, 6 play point 4/6. Ward for Bloodcraft Silver Follower, and it gets +4/+4 and Evolve. This downside is like nothing downside. +4/+4 and Evolve is insane. This card is nutty as heck, and to answer it, you might need to start running a lot of Bane or a lot of hard removal, because this is something else. That's a big body. Sarunan, Cursebound Lover, Shadowcraft Bronze, 2.22, Fanfare Necromancy 6, remove all effects from an enemy follower except changes to its attack or defense. I don't think that's good enough. I think this is it's a 2-drop in a class that's already it has an abundance of good 2-drops, and the effect is way too expensive for what it does. It doesn't even remove the follow, it just removes the effects from it, which can be useful in really, really niche situations, but I just think it's too limited a use case to justify running Serenin. Jessica, Cheerful Cannoneer, 3.32, Portalcraft, Bronze Follower, Fanfare, give +1/+0 to an allied Portalcraft follower. If that follower can be targeted, the opponent can only target that follower. I have no idea how this fits in. I think this is, again, one of those aggressive Portalcraft cards that they're trying to make work. But because I've never, ever seen a deck like that, I have no clue if it's ever going to be a thing. But looks interesting. Maybe it'll be a thing. Or maybe this is just another bronze pack filler. Who knows? I think it's interesting in that you can play a 2-drop like your Majesty Lines and then play this. The weird thing is that I'm not sure how relevant this is going to be, but it can help you protect your other followers, and it gives you an aggressive thing to do on 3. I just don't know if you want to be doing this over just putting a bunch of artifacts on the board, which might be more aggressive just straight out, right? Well, we'll see. Korwa, Ravishing Designer, one of the cards revealed at Rage. 5.44 Fanfare, give your leader the following effect. At the start of your turn, put a fill into your hand, put 2 fills into your hand instead, as at least 4 damage is dealt to your leader during your opponent's previous turn. Not stackable and lasts for the rest of the match. Enhance 8, put 3 fills into your hand and recover 3 play points. And what's a fill? This is a Fortresscraft Legendary, by the way. 1 play point, give an allied follower +0/+1. If you have at least 4 fills played in this match, that follower can attack twice per turn. That is really good. Well, first of all, it's an okay body on 5. It gives you this leader effect that lasts for the rest of the game. And getting this many fills and being able to play 4 of them in the match is like a really easy thing to do, it seems like. And playing it on 8 also is no loss at all, because you just get the 3 play points back, and you get the 3 fills for free already. On curve on 5, you can then build up your fills a little bit, and then say turn 7 or 8, you can just do White Venara, a couple fills, and then slam them in the face for 10 damage, which seems like the way to go since Jungle Warden's rotating out. So, and it also synergizes, of course, with buff effects like Adept Archer, which I don't know that's probably not going to be that great, but more stuff like Fita, Gentle Elf is really good with this. That draw engine's just going to keep going. And also relevant is Cassiopeia. So you fill your hand with fills and your Cassiopeia gets better. And also, because the fill is in this match, not during like a turn or something, if you play 4 others fills, and then you just play 1 fill after that, and every other fill after that also gives your followers can attack twice per turn. So that becomes really intimidating. 1 play point, give an allied follower +1 defense, and can attack twice per turn, just for 1 play point. That's going to be a huge snowball. You can establish any sort of board at all. Or you can use like ambush followers like Eperia as well. So overall, really good card. And of course, also revealed at Rage, Themis' Purge, 8 play points for Havencraft gold card. Banish all followers. Slow card, but insane removal. And if Havencraft gets another late game win con because Aegis is rotating out, this card I think will no doubt see play for Control Havencraft. And it's good to see Control Havencraft coming back because the Havencraft archetypes nowadays have been kind of tempo-y, Summit Temple and Tenko Shrine in rotation at least. So it's going to be nice to see a Control-y deck back in the meta if they get another late game win con. Utopian Fairy, 2.22 for Fortresscraft, Fanfare Enhance 5, give an allied follower +1/+2 and restore 3 defense to your leader. Another thing for buff Forest, but I think that at both cost slots, at 2 and at 5, Fortresscraft has better options. The defensive thing about restoring 3 defense to your leader might become relevant, but I think this is not going to be a very relevant card to be played. I think there's better options at both cost slots that this can be played with. And the Enhance kind of can make Forestcraft suffer just because Forestcraft is a class that kind of really has anti-synergy with Enhance because they're all about combos. So, overall, not too impressed. Tanya, Shadow Enforcer, really boring card. Swordcraft Officer Bronze, Ambush Bane 3-1. It's boring, but it could be a thing in Aggro Sword, solely because it's an aggressively statted follower on curve that has Ambush, so it's not bad. And if they put down a big ward afterwards, it has Bane as well, so I think it's a pretty alright card, I just think it's kind of boring. Getting near the end here. Oh, by the way, Percival is the Swordcraft leader. That's pretty sick. And Korva is the Forestcraft leader. And Cagliostro is the Runecraft leader. And there's going to be more Granblue Fantasy leaders revealed throughout the week. Or not throughout the week, rather, but throughout the next few days leading up to the expansion. That was also unclear. I mean, like, until the expansion is revealed, they're going to be revealing more of these leaders, is what I mean to say. Clearly, I'm going a bit too fast. I'm even tripping up over my own goddamn thoughts. But essentially, I'm excited to see what the Granblue Fantasy leaders are going to be for each class. And they're all purchasable in the shop rather than being gacha leaders. That's also pretty cool. And also the second birthday card popularity poll results were announced. And Hedgehog didn't win, so there's no god. Regardless, moving on with the actual card review instead of going on this weird tangent. Can you tell I'm kind of doing this a little fast? Because the video is already 20 minutes long, even though I'm rushing through it. And there's still more cards to review. Alright. Plague City, 7 play point, Shadowcraft, Gold Amulet, Countdown 2, Fanfare, transform all followers in play into zombies. Whenever a follower excluding zombies comes into play, transform it into a zombie. It's like a control Shadowcraft tool, maybe you play this and then leading into a Mist of Extinction. It also shuts off your opponent's plays, so they can't play stuff like Azida Haga to finish you off. I just think it's really, really slow on curve. Like, if you're getting chip damaged as well by a board-based deck, like say Forestcraft or Swordcraft, and you play this, and you just make them into zombies, I mean, you're dead. Because they're just going to hit you in the face with zombies regardless, and then what are you going to do, right? So it's really, really slow. And I have a hard time seeing it coming into play, but I totally understand the objective here. You can shut off big enemy threats. Maybe after an Arcus you play this. I have no idea how this interacts with Arcus, by the way. If you play Arcus and you play this, which one procs first? No clue. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out. But overall, I think as a control tool, it's just a bit too slow. Probably a lot too slow. And it's only good versus like half the strategies in the game, whereas it just gets bodied by board-based, wide board, hit you in the face a lot strategies, which is a lot of what the meta is right now. We'll see what happens in the next expansion, but that's a lot of what the meta is right now, so having a hard time seeing this see play. Alexandrite Demon, Bloodcraft Silver Follower, 2 play point 2/1. Fanfare, choose, put either a Blazing Sapphire or a Blazing Ruby into your hand. Blazing Sapphire is a 2 play point amulet. Well, that's pretty good. Like, there's no condition here, no bench or anything. You just get it. Okay. The Blazing Sapphire is a countdown 2, Fanfare, draw 2 cards. Last phrase, deal 2 damage to your leader. Well, that's really good. And Blazing Ruby is a 4 play point card. Destroy an enemy follower. Targeted. Not random. Deal 2 damage to your leader. These are both really good. This is a really good follower. With card draw and removal potential, depending on whatever you need. And the deal 2 damage to your leader, not really that much of a downside when you can build your deck to synergize with it, or just cop it and play Vengeance and restore the defense anyway, so overall, really strong card, Alexandrite Demon, I think. Okay. Keep it moving. Keep it going. What's next? Fairy Refuge, 1 play point, Bronze, Forestcraft, Amulet. If at least 2 other cards were played this turn, and you have at least 1 play point, choose, play this card as either a Fairy's Yawn or a Fairy's Awakening, countdown 2, at the end of your turn, put Fairy into your hand. So this is if you don't have the condition met. It just becomes kind of like a Fire Sprite Grove kind of effect, where you just get 1 Fairy at the end of your turn, which isn't too great. Fairy's Yawn, however, makes it so that a random enemy follower can't attack. Hell yes, Lock Force is coming back. And Fairy's Awakening during your opponent's turn whenever an enemy follower attacks your leader, the 1 damage to the follower. Kind of like a Wood of Brambles or a Man-Eating Mangrove, but for your face. I don't know, man. I've been wrong about Forestcraft Amulets before, but this seems kind of underwhelming. It's nice and flexible, and that you can have this kind of effect. I don't know, I just feel like there's better things to run in Forestcraft. That's kind of the rub. Forestcraft has so many good cards introduced over the past couple expansions, including this upcoming one. I don't know if you can find room for Fairy's Refuge, but if you can, might be a consideration. It is Fairy Generator, and it does have control-y tools in it. I don't know if 1 damage to the follower is actually that relevant, going to your face, unless you're fighting against like Portalcraft or something. I can have Brambles and this up and just completely make Portalcraft not able to do anything. That'll be pretty funny. But, yeah. Fun effects, but I don't think they're that useful. And, of course, there's also Dragon Huntress. 2 play point 2/2 whenever this follower attacks a follower with at least 5 attack, gain Bane. So it's not on Clash like Momo is. Doesn't have Rush like Momo does. So I think it's going to be a lot worse. And if not, it's just a 2 play point 2/2. And there's better 2 play point cards that Dragoncraft can run to fuel their PDK. So I think this is probably not going to be a thing that you see on ladder very often. Alright, and I think this is the last little bit here. Despondent Chimera, Runecraft Legendary. Another overstated follower here, 6 play point 6/6. Fanfare, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower if this card has been spell boosted at least 6 times. Then recover 3 play points. Okay. Oh, recover it if it has been spell boosted 9 times. So you only recover it at the spell boost 9 point. And then it gets Storm if you spell boost it 12 times. Okay. So at 6 spell boost, you deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. At 9, you recover 3 play points. And at 12, you gain Storm. I think this is, like, pretty good, right? It's weird because it's kind of a tempo-y card in Runecraft, which is a class that isn't really tempo-y except for Dirt Rune, and this is not a Dirt Rune card by any means. But, like, at all times, all of these effects are pretty good. And as a 6-drop, it's a 6/6, which isn't great, but it's better than average. If you spell boost it 6 times, it's removal. Not as good as, like, a regular Chimera, but it has the extra utility of maybe becoming a 3-play point 6/6 deal 3, or a 3-play point 6/6 deal 3 with Storm. So, it's interesting. I don't know if this fits into Giant Chimera. I don't know how many followers you want in that thing, but I think this thing has a lot of utility, and it could definitely be a thing that sees play. Spell Boost 12 is a lot to ask for, but Spell Boost 6 and Spell Boost 9 I can totally see coming into play quite quickly. And then already a 3-play point 6/6 deal 3 is pretty good. Seraphic Blade, neutral gold spell, 2 play points. Destroy an enemy follower amulet that costs 2 play points or less. And hand 6, execution. So, this is an answer to Wood of Brambles, it's an answer to Acceleradium, it's an answer to basically any 2-drop. And if you're playing a defensive deck, this might be something that you consider. Just to deal with all those threats, like I said. It pays for that flexibility that it has by being an overcosted execution when you get to the enhance effect. But I still think this card can definitely see play, probably not as a staple in any deck, but I totally see it as a flex slot card that you can fit in if you're lacking a bit of removal. I think this card is pretty good. And last 2, Eliza, Pugilist Princess, 3-play point 3/2 with Rush, Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, gain Clash. +1/+1. Oh, this is for Dragoncraft. This looks like a Swordcraft card, but this is actually for Dragoncraft. Okay. This is gonna be like a mid-range dragon card? That's interesting. And you know what? This is okay with PDK as well, right? Because you get that rush effect with it. It's about as good as Star Phoenix is, I guess. I don't know. Hey, that's probably better than Star Phoenix is. Now that I think about it. I don't know. It seems okay. Is this like a weird Scyther replacement because Dragoon Scyther is rotating out? It's not nearly as good as Dragoon Scyther, that's for sure. But if you need that early game control and you're playing a more maybe aggressive or mid-rangey type of Dragoncraft deck rather than a rampy one, maybe this is something you want to try out. I think PDK has better fuel with Orca and Aficionado than this, but we'll see. I mean, Scyther is rotating out, right? So this could just be take out Scyther from rotation, plug this in, and that'll just be good enough. Grand Spire, Runecraft, Bronze Spell, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. Earthrite, deal 4 damage to an enemy follower instead, and deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. I'm not too impressed. 2 damage for 2 is not great. And 4 damage while wasting an Earthrite and dealing 1 damage to the enemy leader. The effect itself is pretty good, but I don't know if you want to be wasting an Earthrite for that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not convinced. And I think that's it. Oh, we actually made it through! I know I was a bit rambly on this one, but I am not going to edit this because this video is already 28 minutes long. Somehow, even though I tried to rapid fire through the entire thing, and I don't think I missed anything. Maybe did I accidentally skip over a card? I don't think so. Yeah, looks like we got them all. All right then. Well, there you go. That's my thoughts on the cards, at least my first impressions of them. Of course, we'll have to see when the expansion actually comes out how this all plays out. And of course, I'll be testing all that out as well. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments down below. Was I right? Was I wrong? Let me know your thoughts. Like the video if you did. Don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. And of course, thank you to my wonderful patrons, patreon.com/Ignideus, if you'd like to support the channel as well. I'd highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.